Hi everyone, I was just looking at the job description for a DevOps engineer, senior engineer DevOps. So this job description is really crazy because it's a 2-page long. It includes lots of buzzwords. So I think we can record another dozen or even more videos just discussing some of these technologies. I realized as I was going through this job description is how confusing it may be for recruiters who don't really understand technologies to know what DevOps literally means. So let's look at DevOps, what DevOps is first, okay? So you understand who a DevOps engineer is. You have this scale, right? On the scale you have a developer, and a developer usually builds new product or online service, or builds new system, new application. And you have someone who is responsible for operations, someone who maintains already built system in production. So say this is the development and this is the maintenance. This is the maintenance in the production environment. All right. And as Agile evolved, Agile brought actually this idea of continuous shipping of the software. So if you look at the timeline, it used to be, say, in the waterfall model, you had first quarter, you had second quarter, you had third quarter, you had fourth quarter, and usually you had a release cycle every quarter, or in a huge corporation it's still this way. So we had maybe 1 or 2 releases per quarter. And then Agile came to actually disrupt this, because it's all about fast development, it's all about iterations, it's all about continuous shipping. So with Agile, the time frame started shortening, and companies wanted to ship products faster. So as they shortened, the border between development and maintenance started to diminish. So that's why the maintenance and the act of building new software started blending together, and here we have DevOps. So DevOps is literally a culture. It's a set of processes, set of best practices. You cannot really find a developer like a DevOps developer, because a DevOps is a culture. It's a set of best practices that for example talk about continuous integration. So how to deploy continuously, how to deploy every day, and maybe how to deploy 10 times every day. So to deploy 10 times every day instead of once a quarter, teams had to adjust significantly their tools, the best practices they use, the way how they write software. So that's how DevOps evolved, right? So say you have a team of 10 developers. It could be full stack engineers, and at some point the management realizes, oh, now we need to adopt the DevOps best practices. So they start adopting DevOps best practices. So we talk about continuous integration, continuous delivery. We talk about tools to help companies ship on a daily basis. And suddenly all of these developers embrace the agile mindset, the continuous delivery, continuous integration. What I try to say is that at some point all these developers work in the DevOps culture. So into some extent all of these full stack engineers become DevOps engineers, right? Like they do not say implement the continuous integration, continuous delivery. There could be one maybe external developer who comes for a quarter. He or she helps the management adopt these best practices as a maybe consultant, and then all of these use what he or she produced, right? So they level up the tools and the best practices. What sometimes also happens in bigger companies, they have internal team. So here could be maybe 2 or 3 or 4 developers who are what used to be the operations, you know, the server admins. Server admins. So say the server admin was responsible for servers only, while here the shift towards DevOps is that what used to be server admin is now DevOps engineer, and he or she is responsible for building the tools, the continuous integration tools to help the rest of the developers use the architecture, use the tools, internal tools or external tools, or integrate with external tools. So I hope this is clear. What I try to say is that these guys would be, for example, DevOps engineers, because that's what they would do on a daily basis. They would only work with tools like Jenkins. They would integrate tools to help the rest of the developers with continuous integration. But in the past, that was actually what server admins did, right? So this is just the new fancy way of calling these guys. But it's important to realize that also these other developers, the full stack developers, maybe mobile app developers, like everyone embraces the DevOps culture, the best practices, and to some extent they are also DevOps engineers, because DevOps is culture, right? I iterate on this a few times, so you guys really start seeing this difference, and it's really confusing to a lot of developers, to a lot of recruiters that I work with. So that's why I try to repeat it 2 or 3 times. All right, so let's wrap it up here, and in the next video we will look at what some of these terms, for example, the continuous integration, continuous delivery, what do they really mean?